Alright, welcome to the most important Prism video that you're ever going to watch. We're going to be talking about Prism, Awaken Our Soul, and its interactions with Halo of Illumination, and any important interactions that are going to be happening with it that enter the battlefield of all the Figments as well. So these Halo interactions don't really care about what kind of weapon you use. It can be really done with any weapon that you have equipped. So just a quick rundown. Prism reads, whenever a card with Herald in its name is put into a soul, you search your deck for a Figment and put it in the arena into play. And then Halo, for one resource, you destroy it and you put a card from your hand into your soul, and if it's a light card, you draw a card. So simply, the minimum use case of this interaction is that you'll have a Herald that you're going to have in your hand. You pay a resource, usually, or the best case scenario with a blue, you put it into your soul, and you go ahead and search a Figment. And then if you have a blue, that's one resource, so you have two floating. So with the two floating, you flip it, and that's already using just a blue and a headpiece to get 4 life. And that's just the floor of this. There's way more intricate interaction that you can do that can really help you get the edge over your opponents. And honestly, knowing these Herald interactions, at least knowing how to do them as the Prism player, just skyrocket your win percentage. They do lose a little bit of value now that if this video goes out and everybody knows how they work, but they're still really powerful. That your opponents knowing that it can happen doesn't necessarily mean that it'll really counteract just the viability of the Halo of Illumination and Prism combo. All right, so let's see here. Okay, yeah, so as I mentioned, every single Figment has an enter the arena trigger that will get you additional value on top of the just gaining you 4 life off of this combination. And I'm going to talk about some applications here. I'm not going to talk about too much about the flip side of the Figments, the angel side in this scenario, unless I find that it's super necessary to just point something out. All right, so now I'm going to start with the least used Figment in this situation. It's going to be Figment of Tenacity. This one says, when it enters the arena, your next attack this turn gets Dominate. So yes, you can use your Halo of Illumination trick that I mentioned earlier, get into play and immediately make an attack, and that attack will have Dominate. You could use it to guarantee an on-hit as all Heralds go into Soul. You do that, get another Figment into play. That could be a use case for it. The flip side also gives every attack Dominate if you do the additional effect of removing an additional card from your soul. I just don't think it's really necessary. There's a reason this card only has 32% in deck usage according to Fabric at this moment. Honestly, if you can also do it in lists that have all the Figments in it, just to have the extra 4 life threshold, but it is kind of the weakest effect at this time, especially since we already have Herald with inherent Dominate. But I guess it does target any attack, so you could do like something really cheeky, like getting this and then playing a Command and Conquer, and then you get a Dominate Command and Conquer, which is obviously very strong. All right, next up on the list, we have Figment of War. And it says, when this enters the arena, you create a Courage token. And for those who don't know, Courage token says that when you play an attack action card or activate a weapon attack, you destroy it and give it +1 attack. So it doesn't work on your angel swings. So once you get it out, the Courage token, it'll stay until the conditions are met and it gets popped. It is quite good. It has pretty low usability right now, only 45% of decks according to Fabric again. But Prism wants to play a lot of yellow Heralds, and yellow Heralds usually come in for 6. So getting it up to that 7 breakpoint is really valuable for the deck. You don't need to do any Halo of Illumination tricks with this one. This is more of an incidental value one where you get it once you hit with a Herald. That's totally reasonable. So not many tricks on this one, but there are going to be some other Figments that are going to have some more tricky stuff down the line. So next up on the list, and speaking of, one of the ones with the most tricks here, Figment of Judgment. Another one which it says it has low usability doing Fabric, 47%, but I think it really should be a tech piece in your deck, especially targeting specific heroes and maybe even the metagame. I can see it not being in the deck, but I like it a lot. I always like to have it in my back pocket just to make sure to keep my opponents honest that they know that they have to work around this. And what do I mean exactly? So this one says, when this enters the arena, you turn a card in any banished zone face down. And I need to explain a little bit what that means. When you turn a card in the banished zone face down, it kind of loses all its properties. So if it were to be able to be played or returned to the hand or anything along those lines, it doesn't have that text or conditions anymore since it forgets what it was when it becomes face down. So a really quick introduction of how that works, especially against ninjas, is going to be with the Katsu ability and the Mask of the Pouncing Lynx ability. Both of them put a card in the banished zone at some point during its effect. And without going into too many details about the timing windows on that, I'm just going to explain that when that card gets searched up, you do have a timing window to activate Halo, put a Herald in the Soul, get the Figment of Judgment, and put that search card face down, making it unable to be played, and it just blows both of these out. Of course, Katsu is repeatable in Masks of the Pouncing Lynx, a one-time use effect, but still it's very powerful. Trading head pieces is a very good trade that we'll take any day, and Katsu stopping a big power turn is always very good. Another interesting interaction that I found out recently with the heavy hitters is this card No Fear, as it puts cards with 6 or more power from the hand into the banished zone, and usually they would come back at the end phase. Well, those cards get banished face up because we need to confirm that they are 6 power. If you, at the point that those cards are in the banished zone, you Halo Herald Judgment and get it out into the field, you can put one of those 6 powers face down, and at that point, it will not return to the hand because it forgets that it was banished by No Fear. It just forgets all those properties. They still get the full defensive value of No Fear, of course, but, minusing them 1 card from this effect still can be really valuable. I haven't seen it used too many times. I haven't used it myself too many times, but I think it's still interesting to note. Let's see. Oh, yes. Another good stuff that you can turn face down is shadow cards. There's a lot of shadow cards. In this example, I have Howl from Beyond that can be played from the banished zone. So turning them face down, again, removes their properties. They don't remember what they are, so they can't play them from their banished zone. Really good against shadow heroes. There's a bunch of other niche interactions about other cards that could go into the banished zone for one reason or another that can be turned face down. If you know them specific, you can put them in the comments. No problem there, but I'm just going to leave it at that because, yeah, Figment of Judgment is for sure very interesting. All right, next up, Figment of Rebirth. This is another one that does not necessarily have a bunch of tricks. This one also has climbed a little bit higher in usability, 63% of decks. Again, according to Fabric, but this one just reads, when it enters the arena, you put a yellow action card from your graveyard on top of your deck. You don't need any tricks for this. This one doesn't really necessarily require you to use Halo and Judgment and everything to get anything. There's, again, kind of incidental value. And some good value you can get from this is you can recur your yellow poppers from your graveyard against decks that you need them for. So, for example, if you have Finals Fighting Spirit in your deck, and go out in the graveyard at some point, when you get Figment of Rebirth, you put it on top of your deck again. And that means that, hey, you have the popper again in your next hand. This one, the main reason it's in a lot of decks is for the Flip Angel side, which allows you to do something called the Arclight Sentinel Loop. Now, I'm not going to go into many details about what that is. I'm actually just going to link Pheno Black's video about the ALS loop, because he goes into details about it. It's useful. You don't pull it off all the time, but it's in the deck for a reason. All right. Next up, I think we're getting to another very tricky one. Yep, Figment of Ravages. So when this enters the arena, you deal 1 arcane damage to any target. Okay, so this one is a really big one, and let's start with, I think, one of the most useful ways to use it. It would be against our nemesis, Dromai. with against Aether Ashwings. So if Dromai ever attacks with an Aether Ashwing at you or at any target that you have, let it be an angel or mostly an angel or yourself, you may tutor up the Figment of Ravages and destroy it. And if it gets destroyed after the Dromai declares the attack, then it dies and the attack just fizzles forever. Even if it had go again, it wouldn't continue the Dromai's turn. So that just negates the whole turn. And you can really catch them out on swinging their whole dragon board. You stop the whole dragon board or you stop them from doing additional attacks. So knowing that against a Dromai player will really boost your win percentage. Other than that is another big one that can just happen to against any general opponent. So all your angels have the same stat line. They have 4 attack, they have 4 health, and they have ward 4. And ward, for those of you who don't know, you ward 1 here is an example. If you would take damage, you prevent that much damage. So ward 4 would prevent 4 damage. But it can break on even smaller instances of damage. So let's say an opponent is attacking your angel and it has 4 health. Well, and they have go again. So you can, again, tutor up your Figment of Ravages as they declare the target of the attack. And since Figment of Ravages says any target, for the arcane damage, you target yourself, and then you choose to prevent the damage with the angel that's being targeted. Once that happens, the angel is gone, and again, the attack fizzles, meaning that even if they had go again, it doesn't continue the chain or anything along those lines. And you just nuff their turn that way. Sure, you lose an angel, but you were going to lose it anyway because they were attacking it. So it's still good value to stuff a turn, especially if maybe they were going to get an on-hit, like Snatch or Katsu ability, or anything along those lines. There's other applications in the mirror versus what the amount of ward that they have to use this, but it's a lot of counterplay. But I think those are the main 2 things you want to know with Figment of Ravages. Moving on. Another good tricksy one, the Figment of Triumph. Now this, I believe, this and the rest of them, I think starting with Ravages should really be in every Prism deck. I'm not going to even quote Fabric right now because the stats are just like 85%, but honestly this should be in every Prism, Awakener of Soul deck, or even Advent of Thrones. Because this one is the one that you're going to use the most. It says when it enters the arena, attack action cards the opponent controls get -1 this turn. So the base use that you're going to use it for, the most use case, is that you go ahead and attack with a Herald. Say War to Herald. The opponent goes to pop it with a 6 power attack. Use your Halo, your favorite Halo trick. You come in, you give it -1, so once the fan stamp triggers, you stop the trigger, and now they have to deal with the fact that you only block 2 on your 6 power attack. So I take 4, goes into Soul, you get another Figment, and you keep going. Another more interesting one that I've found out that I haven't heard anybody talk about too much, but if you have an angel with 4 health, and somebody comes in and attacks the angel with attack for 4. Sure, you have your Halo of Ravages trick, but let's say the attack that they're hitting with doesn't have go again, or maybe it does have go again, and you just want to make them waste more on your angel. So what you can do, what I'm trying to allude at, is that if they go and attack your angel that has 4 health, and you tutor out Figment of Triumph, this attack will now have only 3 health, or 3 power. So it'll only deal 3 damage to the Ravages, making it stay alive. And if the opponent doesn't have go again, they kind of wasted an attack there. You kept your angel, and yeah, that's just a really huge exchange that you got there. Of wasting just their whole turn. Let's see here. There's a lot of other defensive uses for Triumph. There's Bolton's ability that requires it to have higher power. So if they only have +1 power on their attack action card, and you tutor this out, they will no longer be able to give it go again, giving you the opportunity to just stuff their turn. Now, in general, I do like to use Figment of Triumph in a more offensive way. By offensive, I mean doing it on our turn and stopping a pop, because that generally nets you 2 Figments into the battlefield, the Triumph that you searched up, and then a secondary one that you get after the Herald hits, hopefully. But yeah, those are the applications that we have for Figment of Triumph. And there might be a few more. Again, if I leave any interaction out of this video, put it in the comments. I'll probably pin it and we'll just add to the knowledge pool of this hero. Let's see. Oh yes, next one, again, 100% usage in my opinion, that should be in your deck. We got the Figment of Protection. It's a very simple effect. When it enters the arena, you create a Spectral Shield. When you, again, this one's not necessarily needed to be tutored out for anything. This is one that just gives incidental value, and actually is the one that gives you the most health value in a defensive way, where you tutor it, you get the Spectral Shield for Ward 1, and you can flip this for Ward 4, again using a blue in this situation. The only way you would use this offensively is with a very low use card. I hope I put in this list. No, I did not. It's a very low use card called Invoke Soraya. So Invoke Soraya requires a Spectral Shield to be on the board to be able to be flipped. So what you could do on your turn, if you have Invoke Soraya in your hand, and you have the Figment of Protection in your deck, you go Halo, tutor, get this, get a Spectral Shield immediately on board, and use Invoke Soraya to transform that Spectral Shield into Soraya. Again, off of blue, so that means that you got all that. You attack with Soraya, you get a lot of life gain value. But again, the card Invoke Soraya is not really used all that much, but it's just good that the combination is available to you. But again, not really one that has any other fun additional tricks. And last but not least, we have the Figment of Erudition. When this enters the arena, you create a Ponder token. Again, just some incidental value. And just for you don't know, Ponder says at the beginning of the end phase, destroy, ponder, and draw a card. You do want to try and get the Ponder value as much as possible with the Figment of Erudition. Dump your hand out after everything and then get this into the field in one way or another, but don't try to halo it out. Just have it happen off an incidental Herald hitting, and you just reset your arsenal with the Ponder. Hopefully you don't hit a Figment or any other bad card that can't go into the arsenal, or would just be a bad choice. And I will mention, though, the strength of Figment of Erudition, and it's the one that I believe, I think Protection and Erudition are the most costly cards that you'll have for Figments, and the strength of this one is the flip side, the Angel side, because the Angel side says that when you attack with it, you draw 2 cards. And let me tell you, drawing cards in card games is really good. Just lets you do more things. Okay, that is pretty much it. I believe that's all the Figments. Yeah. So this video was mostly for my locals that kept asking me, my locals here in Puerto Rico. But I think it's just good to have that knowledge out of what you can do with all these Figments. Or at least like the base things that I think you should know. There's a few minor things, but honestly, this is what you need to know. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope this was useful to you. Peace.